Hey everybody, and welcome to the Lake and Osceola Summer Session APA Clinic. We are going to do our best to get through this very quickly for you. So first and foremost, I want to make sure everybody knows that we have our Facebook page and our Facebook group. Please make sure you're joining our Facebook group. That's going to actually send you notifications whenever we put up a new post so you can be best informed. It's going to be at Lake Osceola APA on Facebook. So why are we doing this? So everybody keeps score every week, or at least you should be. Whether you're doing it on paper or on the app, the score that you submit to us is the backbone of our handicap system. Knowing how to properly keep score and understanding the importance of it will help us give proper skill level ratings so that you guys can have a fun and fair competitive league night. We want everybody to understand the defensive shots the same way. We also want to go over a couple APA rules and common misconceptions just to make sure everybody's updated and refreshed on a few of the common mistaken rules. And we'll go over a couple updates on events and tournaments, but most of that will be found on our Facebook. So first off, just want to touch on the 23 rule. So a team that is playing less than a full match does need to show that they could have fielded 5 individual players under 23. This means if you're playing 4 players, you need to make sure that a 5th player that's not present on your roster would have been able to play and keep you under 23. The example I have, 7, 6, 5, 5. So you've played 4 players and you're at 23, but there's no possible way for you guys to have a 0 on your roster. So you violated the 23 rule. The replay rule is the easiest way to make a mistake even when you're paying attention to your numbers. So what we need to make sure everybody understands is the 5 individual players on your roster. That word individuals is very important because if you're using a replay, you have to be replaying kind of in place of a player that's listed on your roster that had they been present, they could have played within the 23. So if you play a 7, a 5, and a 3, and you're using the replay rule, so your 3 is going to play it again, you need to have a 3 or a 2 listed on your roster that's not present that 3 is playing in place of. So no matter what, you have to show that you could have played 5 separate individuals listed on your roster at 23 to avoid violating the rule. If you do violate it, you lose all your points. We don't want to see that happen. Senior skills. So doesn't come up as often. You're only allowed to play 2 senior skills. A senior skill is somebody that's a 6 or above. That is a question later, so remember that. If you play more than 2 senior skill, even if you're within the 23 rule, that 3rd senior skill player, whatever the match points won were, it's going to be scored as if it were a forfeit, and the points are going to go in favor of the other team. That rule is on page 35 of the OTM. Feel free to read through it. Again, it used to be a 9-ball thing. It's now 8-ball and 9-ball. We don't see it very often, but just something to be aware of. So one of the things that has become more of an issue is the makeup match versus the replay. Understanding the rules and the differences between. So if my team is aware that, let's say I have, 4 people that are going on a cruise in May, right? So I know ahead of time that I'm only going to have 4 people there that night. I can let the other team know at least 24 hours in advance that we're going to be short players that week. We can either pre-play those matches or we can schedule a makeup. Once I've alerted the other team, they can give me a couple dates, and then I need to coordinate my schedule around the 2 dates that they have available. If I'm doing a makeup match, I get to choose my own player. I do have to notify the office that we're using the makeup match, whether it's a pre-play or a makeup, and I have 2 weeks within the scheduled date of play, whether it be before or after, to get that match played. Now, a replay rule is totally different. A replay rule is when your team last minute realizes that 3 people aren't going to be there, and the players that you are going to have present, you can't field 23, or you're going to be short players. You have to alert your opponent before the first rack starts of that 4th match. If I don't do that, then the other team can take the forfeit. I can't wait for the 4th match to be over and then let them know at the beginning of the 5th match that I need the replay rule. If I do follow all the rules of the replay, the opposing team gets to choose which player on my team gets to play twice. All the players that have played in a match need to be present and available, And if they refuse to play again, then the other team can take the forfeit. They do not need to notify the office. We'll see that a player played twice and we'll understand what happened, and it needs to be played in the same night. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but just for the record. Forfeits. So we prefer for all points to be won at the table, but we do understand that sometimes a forfeit is necessary. We as an office will go in and forfeit matches if you've taken too long to play them. We encourage all teams to work with one another, but we also need to make sure that all the rules are being followed and that teams aren't consistently forfeiting matches. In the event you are forfeiting and you've only played 4 matches in a night, you still owe the full dues for the week. So whether you split it up between the teammates or the captain pays it, that $50 is still due. We don't like forfeits. We know you guys don't like forfeits. In the event you are using a forfeit, on the score sheet, the team that has enough players needs to write the name of the player that would have played to show that somebody was present and they could have fielded within 23. And then the score for 8 ball would be 2-0 and the score for 9 ball would be 12-0. So defensive shots and marking them on score sheets. It comes up a lot, what is a defense shot? There's a video by Terry Bell where he goes over some visual examples of different types of defensive shots. But at the end of the day, understanding the reason behind the defensive shot is very important. Anytime your opponent is not attempting to pocket a ball and stay on the table, you should be marking a defense shot. So that's going to include a shot where they are blocked by another ball and they're just trying to avoid a ball in hand foul. So let's say it's 9 ball and I break and I make a ball, but I can't see the 1 ball. And I'm hitting off of a rail and I'm just trying to hit the 1 ball. I'm not trying to make it, I'm just trying to hit it and hit a rail. That should be marked as a defensive shot. It's nothing that counts against you. It's not a punishment. It's simply proper scorekeeping. It includes a player that is intentionally missing in an attempt to run up innings. So if you feel like a player is sandbagging, you feel like they're intentionally missing, they're, hitting a ball around the table until they get up to so many innings and all of a sudden they can run out the rack magically. Mark those as defensive shots. Maybe alert the office as to what you saw so we can track a pattern. A defensive shot also includes a failed defensive shot. So if I'm trying to tap a ball lightly and, hide the cue, but I accidentally hit it too hard and I give my opponent a straight-in shot on the 8 ball, that's still a defense shot. I wasn't attempting to make that ball, and it needs to be marked appropriately on that score sheet. So what their intent is. Was the player trying to make the ball? As the scorekeeper, it's your sole judgment as to what the intent of that shooter was. It's okay to ask them, but at the end of the day, if you feel like it was a defensive shot, you need to be marking it. A few ways to judge it. Were they trying to make the ball? Were they just trying to stay, or were they trying to stay on the table after pocketing the ball? So for some of those higher skill players, you can look to see, did they get the leave that they would have needed? How hard did they hit it? Were they just trying to hit a rail, or did they hit it hard enough to maybe go into a pocket? Was it a poke and hope? One of those where, there's kind of a cluster of balls and somebody just kind of slams it to see what happens. That would not be considered a defense shot. Their intent was to hit it hard in hopes that maybe a ball would find a pocket. The reaction to the shot can also help you judge the defense or not. If a player seems, upset about, missing the ball and, they obviously hooked their opponent on the next shot, they were trying to make it. It's not a defense. Other way around. The player seems very satisfied with their shot. They didn't make the ball, they didn't even come close, and they're giving themselves a little pat on the back. Maybe they hid the cue ball. Maybe they left the cue ball exactly where they were trying to. It's okay to ask the player, were you trying to make that? If they're being open about it, like asking how many innings they have or how many, things like that, sometimes you'll even hear somebody say, well, I need to get to at least 5 innings, or something like that. Make sure you're marking the defensive shots and reporting that to us so that we can watch that player. We do track the patterns. We do want people to be properly rated, and we do need your help because we can't be everywhere all the time. The best way for you to alert us is by texting us. So let us know. We'll handle it. So member services, I talked a little earlier about electronic scorekeeping. It is open in every division. So you have 2 apps. The first one, which right here, you have your APA with the little 9-ball rack. That's going to be Pool League. So the word pool, the word league, if you go to your app store and just search that, you'll see the APA logo there. You're going to download it. You need to claim your account on poolplayers.com. We can help you with that. I have a step-by-step instruction. Super easy to do. The only thing you really need from us is going to be your member number that's printed on your score sheet. So you can do that at league night, or you can text us and we're happy to help you. The second logo is Scorekeeper. So if you go to your app store and you put in the word Scorekeeper, I believe it's all one word. It's going to be your same email and same password for both. Scorekeeper is going to give you access to electronic scoring. Electronic scoring is going to be the best way to avoid losing bonus points. If you don't fill out player numbers, if you're bad with totaling your innings, if you're not quite sure on the match points that are won and it's always a thing at the end of the night, get Scorekeeper. You literally tap on the name of the player in the roster, you tap on the name of the player they're playing against, it sets everything up for you. As long as you're keeping track on the electronic Scorekeeper, it's going to mark the innings, it's going to give you it's going to total up your innings for you. It's going to have proper player numbers written out. All that's going to be automatically kind of populated for you, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's great. So if you have any issues setting those up, give us a call. We're happy to help. Again, it's available in every division. Now, ladies, masters, and Scotch doubles do not have access to that yet. I'm sure that'll come eventually, but everybody else has access. So please download and try it out. Electronic rules, obviously, with new stuff is new rules. So we do still need you to note. So every week you guys get your handy dandy envelopes. Inside your envelopes you have your paperwork. If you guys are doing electronic scoring, you need to make a note of it on your score sheet. So that way we know to go look for that electronic score. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that come in handy with you can track your money. With your team envelopes, you can do your patch requests, and if you're paying with cash, you can still do that. So a lot of the things are still the same, so you can score electronically, and then you can do everything else the way that you're used to doing it. Your team envelopes have a lot of great information. It has your team name up here at the top, just in case you never really paid attention to that. And then right here's a QR code to our Google Calendar, so you can actually scan that. You can always see what's coming up. There's also a typed out list of upcoming events. So good info there. Please read your envelope. Keywords. So a lot of you guys have actually gotten the hang of this, but there's 40% that are still not using keywords properly. So if we say, please text keyword blank, we need you to send the word and just the word. For example, if you want me to review John Doe, then when you text, if you say review John Doe, it's not going to work. You have to send the word review by itself in its own text. That's going to cue the system to ask you questions. It's going to ask you who. It's going to give you a chance to tell them what skill level you think they should be. It's going to ask you which format you're talking about. And it's going to ask you about any supporting information so you can let us know. A player beating you is not necessarily a good reason for them to go up in skill. They might have had a great night. If it's happening consistently, or if they've made some pretty strong runs, or if there are some behavior things that happened throughout the match that made you think that maybe they were, holding their skill level down and that was their first night shooting their, normal game, that's okay. Let us know. But in general, review should be done when you've seen a player play above their skill level more than one, situation, or if it's a newer player that just joined the league and you feel like their skill level just hasn't caught up with them yet, or if you openly hear them cheating. So let us know. Makeup, if you're a captain, please use the makeup keyword. It will let us know that you have a makeup match, and it'll basically help us help you. Tournament registration is always going to have a keyword. Right now we have the MVP and the moving on up tournaments, MVP 8, MVP 9. It is not case sensitive. So you can send all caps, lower caps, doesn't matter. As long as you send the word and just the word, it will work. If you don't get an automatic response, you did not do it correctly. So last time we went over etiquette. This time we're going to go over the ball in hand fouls. So there's 11 ball in hand fouls. If it's not listed on this list that I'm about to read out, it is not a ball in hand foul. So if the cue ball goes into a pocket on the floor or otherwise ends up off of the playing surface, that's a ball in hand foul. If you fail to hit the correct ball first, it's a ball in hand foul. If you fail to hit a rail or to pocket a ball after making contact with your object ball, that is a ball in hand foul. If after making contact with the ball that is frozen to a rail, you fail to drive that ball or any other ball into a different rail or pocket a ball, it's a ball in hand foul. I will note you need to declare that a ball is frozen to a rail before the shot for you to be able to call the ball in hand foul on your opponent. Intentionally jumping a cue ball over another ball by scooping it into the air. You are allowed to jump by using your regular shooting pool cue and coming above the ball and shooting at an angle on it so that you jump the ball up. You may not go grab your break cue, switch it out, do a jump, and go switch it back. It's not okay. Receiving advice from anybody other than your coach during a timeout is a ball in hand foul. This is a unique ball in hand foul because it is the only one that is not related to a cue ball. So keep that in mind. Touching or causing the cue ball to move outside of a ball in hand situation. So if I'm walking up to the table, I accidentally tap the cue ball in hand foul. Altering the course of a moving cue ball, including a double hit. So a double hit is another thing you can watch a video on, but if your object ball is very close to a cue ball and you're shooting directly at it, there's a good chance that you actually double hit that cue ball, which you're altering the course of the ball. Anytime the cue ball makes contact with an accidentally moved ball. So this is another fun one. You can read through the accidentally moved ball rules and guidelines. But if during the course of a shot, I accidentally hit, a ball with my hand, and that cue ball travels all the way around the table and hits that accidentally moved ball, technically I've altered the course of the cue ball, and at that point it's a ball in hand foul. Now if I accidentally move a ball and the cue ball travels around the table but does not hit my accidentally moved ball, that's not a ball in hand foul, and my opponent needs to go move that ball back to where they best believe it was. The cue ball does not touch any object during the course of a shot. It's basically an air ball, that's a ball in hand foul. Last but not least, touching another ball on the table while I'm placing a ball in hand, that would be a ball in hand foul. So even if as I'm placing a ball, my pinky hits an object ball, it's a ball in hand foul. Anything not listed in the 11 rules that I just read out is considered a sportsmanship violation. That does not mean that you can get away with doing it. If we hear about a player that is consistently doing things that they now know are not ball in hand fouls, trying to get away with it, we will simply remove you from the league. We don't need anybody trying to weaponize or intentionally do things that are getting around the rule book. So please, everybody, know the rules, understand the rules, use the rules appropriately. It's impossible to cover every situation with the written rules. So relax, enjoy yourself, play within the spirit of the rules, and the common sense must always prevail. Lastly, we ask that you call your own fouls. Please do not wait for somebody to call you out and say, did you hit a ball? Even if it's openly obvious that it was a ball in hand foul, you still need to say ball in hand. And that is the end of that one. So, score sheets. So this is going to be a big little one for you. So the APA Clinic score sheets, we have your 8-ball score sheet. So this is basically circled up at the top there in red. You have your team name and your team number. Please make sure that the top of your score sheet says your team name and not your opponent's team name. Your team number is going to be in quite a few different places. As you can see in the middle there, division standings through last week, you can see where the team number, so 78207, I'm taking the last two numbers, which is 07, so I know that I'm team number 7, and I can see right there in the division standings, team 7 has 114 points, so that means that the team that I'm on, team 7, that's how you read that. We have a lot of people that are fairly new that use the app over reading it on the score sheet these days, but still good to know. Also good to know there's a QR code on your score sheets that will show you, take you straight to a video on how to keep score. At the top, a lot of times, especially this time of year, people ask me, how many weeks do we have left in the session? So you can look at your score sheet and I can see week 13 of 17. That means that out of the 17 weeks, I am currently playing week 13. So I can figure out how many weeks I have left in the session, especially if I'm trying to get matches in. It's also going to list out your division reps. So the division rep and their phone number is going to be listed at the top of your score sheet. so you have access to call them if you ever need to. On your roster, you have your SL column. It's going to represent each player's skill level. You have your MP column. That's right there. That's going to represent the number of matches that have been played so far in the session. Then you have your player number. Pretty self-explanatory there. We do automated table assignments, so you'll have your home team, and then you have your home team that's table assignment. So in this particular situation, Reckless Intentions is table 7. So if I'm the visiting team, I know that I need to go to table 7 to play against Reckless Intentions, who's home table 7. Easiest ways to lose bonus points is not filling out your 5-digit player numbers or messing up when you're filling out those player numbers, something electronic scorekeeping can help you with. Another guaranteed way to lose bonus points is not totaling up your innings. So at the end of the race, when there's a winner, you need to go add up all the innings and all the little boxes. You need to write it in that yellow box that says total innings. Your match points, also very important. We don't have a problem with this one as much as we do the other two. Everybody remembers this one. Your match points are, you have your little chart up at the top. You fill that in on the kind of third column there, and you add those up as you go for the running total, which is your last column. In 8-ball, you also want to make sure you're marking your default wins. This is very important. Whenever we're doing input, we need to know if a player scratched on the 8-ball and that's why the other player won. We need to know if they made the 8-ball out of turn. And it is different for each type of foul. So E8 for everything doesn't work. If they scratched on the 8, let us know. If they made the 8 out of turn, let us know. If it was the 8-ball in the wrong pocket, failed to mark the pocket, whatever it is, please let us know. Also, sportsmanship, one of my personal favorites. We need to make sure everybody knows 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Please circle one of those numbers. Number 4 is going to be your go-to every night, and then you can adjust from there based on how the other team did. The accomplishments, so 8 on the break and run, you're just going to mark little tick marks, almost like you would an inning. You don't want to do a full X in that box or fill it in all the way. In the event that player gets more than 1, you need to be able to show that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It happens from time to time, so use innings. And at the bottom, you're going to track your money. So as people put their money in the envelope or pay, you can write down their name and the amount of money. That's also where we track money. So if you have a past due or a credit, that's where it's going to print on your score sheet. 9-ball score sheets, very similar at the top. You have your team name, you have your for week number 12 of 16, you have your date, you have your division information. The only thing that's different is that over your division rep information is going to be a little bit over to the side. If you see a Q in parentheses at the end of a team name, it means that they're qualified for the World Qualifier. There's a special set of rules that you need to follow. So if you see it next to your team name and you're the captain, please make sure you're familiar with the rules that you have to maintain in the top 50% of your division. Once you get to the spring session, there's no roster changes after week 4. There's a couple other few little things, but those are the 2 big ones. 9-ball, also a little bit of a difference. On the back of the score sheet, you have your sportsmanship rating. Everyone's been getting much better with that, but it is kind of hidden there, so please make a point to fill it out, even if it's at the very beginning of the night. Same with 8-ball, we need your 5-digit number filled out for every single player. If you do electronic, it's very easy to make sure you get all your bonus points for that. You're going to track your total innings throughout that column. And then on the kind of, second to middle column, you have your dead balls. You're going to track any dead balls right there. In 9-ball, you have your total innings also in the yellow box. So once there's a declared winner, you're going to total up all the innings from all the racks that have been played. You're going to write it in that yellow box. If you're using electronic scorekeeper, it's going to total that for you. It's going to guarantee that you don't lose bonus points due to total innings not being totaled. Match points earned, you're going to use the race chart. The race chart is on the other side of your score sheet. So that's just another thing. If you're new at doing 9-ball score, the easiest way to kind of figure out the race chart is you look at the losing player, you look at their skill level. So if I have a skill level 3 that got to 19 balls, I'm going to go to skill level 3. You can even see it says loser skill level. and then you're going to follow that over until you hit 19. And up at the top, you can see that's a 14-6. So I'm going to flip my score sheet back over, and in my match points columns, I'm going to give 14 points to the winner, and I'm going to give 6 points to the loser. It's probably the most difficult part of 9-ball score. It's pretty simple after you've done it a couple times, but it does take a couple times to get used to. So there's that. Last but not least, I do want to go over the kind of flow of our pool year, right? So we have 3 sessions. Right now we're in the summer session. So that's kind of the you are here kind of button right there. At the end of each session, you have a playoff. Your playoff is going to be between a seeded team. So sometimes it's your first place team. If you're in a smaller division, if you're in a larger division, it might be your third place team. They're going to be playing against a wild card team. Everybody else is off for that playoff week. Summer Triannuals is going to follow that session. So it's going to be your summer session roster that plays in your Summer Triannuals. You are usually playing Triannuals after you've started the new session. So it's not your new session roster, because your fall session roster is going to be playing in your Fall Triannuals. So whatever your current roster is, because everybody's locked in at this point, your summer session roster, if you guys are doing good in your division, everybody look at your team envelope and save the dates, because we have your triannual dates already written on there for you. So if you're doing well, go mark it in your calendar, go request off work. We do our best to get you that info because we know it's hard to plan around work and some of those weekends. So the winners of the fall triannuals go directly to the World Qualifier. The losers of our triannuals go to our Best of the Rest tournament. Triannuals is going to have a cash prize for teams. Best of the Rest is simply a qualifier. There's no cash prize. If you win 2 or more of those triannuals, then you get invited to our double qualifier. And that's the one that we actually have coming up July 30th. There's, I believe, 8 8-ball teams and 4 9-ball teams. We're going to be doing the team captains format, but in 8-ball, it's just 8-ball racks, and in 9-ball, it's just 9-ball racks. For 9-ball, it's going to be a ball count race, but you're going to be playing a rotation between players, and you're going to be getting ball count for your team. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that one. If you win the World Qualifier, which is going to be our end-of-year big tournament, we just had it. It's every June. That's going to be the winners going to Las Vegas to play in the Whirlpool Championship. If you are the runner-up, the second-place team that lost in that finals match, then you get to go to the Southeast Challenge, which is in Jacksonville. So if you have any questions on our calendar or schedule, feel free to check our website or on the APA app, or give us a call, and we're happy to kind of tell you about any upcoming events that are going on. If we're out at league night, we're in the middle of stuff, it's usually not the best time to ask us. If I'm keeping score and I'm talking to 5 players about things that are going on at that moment, and you come and ask me about, what events are coming up or something like that, I might just direct you on how to find it. And that's not because I don't want to help you and answer you. It's mostly because there's other times that you could call and have the time to kind of go over it with you, or I've kind of created, easy ways for you to access the information. So please do your best and look for, your answers first before you come and ask us. And if you ever see me keeping 9-ball score, please don't come and ask me questions. Besides that, we hope everybody takes a quiz and gets points. There's bonus points. After I believe on the 18th is when this video link is going to shut down. We're going to go through, we're going to tally up all the points, we're going to add them. When you go to your team screen on your app and you go to the very bottom of your schedule, you're going to see a little spot that says additional bonus points. That's going to be where you can see the bonus points that were applied for this scorekeeping clinic. So if you have any questions or concerns, let us know. But I hope everybody has a great week and a good rest of your session. We hope to see you at Summer Triannual.